Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this meeting of the Council of the Town of Oakville. I invite everyone to rise and join Council in O Canada. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. As is our custom, I will now give our opening prayer, and our moment of silent reflection will follow, and then we'll begin the meeting proper. God grant us understanding and patience, that justice, truth, and honesty may be evident in our decisions. Make us mindful of the needs of the people throughout the town of Oakville. Help us govern with the wider community in mind, and so create in us a desire for progress and responsible action. We ask this in your name. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk, do we have regrets for this meeting?
Yes, we have regrets from Councillor Khan.
Thank you. Councillor, are there declarations of pecuniary interest? Councillor Adams?
I'd like to declare an interest in item number 9 of CSC, which is the Children's Festival, as Tim Hortons was named as the only major sponsor, and my wife is a civil engineer working for Tim Hortons.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor, you have before you the minutes of our previous meetings of August 11th and September 8th, as well as the confidential minutes of the closed session of Council on August 11th. Councillor Duddick moves acceptance. Councillor Knoll seconds. If there are no corrections, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed, if any? The minutes are adopted. We have no public presentations and we have no delegations, and that brings us to our standing committee reports. We need to separate item number 9 from CSC. We need to separate number 10 from Community Services. Are there any separations from Administrative Services? Is there a mover and seconder for Administrative Services? Councillor Bird and Councillor Johnston. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that report is adopted. Is there a mover and seconder for the balance of Community Services? Councillor Duddick and Councillor Robinson. All in favor? Opposed, if any? The balance of CSC is adopted, and we turn to Councillor Duddick and item 9.
Thank you. Your Worship, when we had this presented, or they were going to be presenting it at CSC, we thought it would be beneficial, and the committee members concurred, that given the fact this is the first year for the event and the huge success that we realized as a result of that event, and I figured the rest of the council would also want to probably either ask questions or maybe share a comment or two. We deferred it, or referred it rather, to council for a presentation.
Mr. Green, who's on deck?
Good evening, Mayor and members of Council. I'm pleased to be presenting today on the Oakville Children's Festival. I'd like to start by showing a short video that I think sums up this festival quite well. In December 2013, Council requested that staff report back on the possibility of an interim event at Coronation Park in 2014 to replace the Oakville Waterfront Festival. And in February 2014, Council gave approval for a new family event at Coronation Park as outlined in a staff report from the Recreation and Culture Department. The Oakville Children's Festival date was set for Sunday, July 27th at Coronation Park, and more than 15,000 people were in attendance. The event was designed to introduce children and families to arts and culture in an engaging and interactive way. The event was organized by an interdepartmental staff team of 13 and was supported by numerous staff within the organization. There was representation from transit, recreation and culture, parks and open space, engineering and construction, finance, as well as the Halton Police Services providing support. I'd like to say a special thank you to Robin Howarth, the manager of the Oakville Center for the Performing Arts, who chaired the event, and Danielle Pierce, who was the administrative assistant at River Oaks, who took on administration for the event in addition to her regular duties. The event was also supported by 82 community volunteers the day of the event, as well as numerous Oakville-based organizations. As I said, Coronation Park was transformed into a free arts and culture playground for kids of all ages. There were 8 live performances. Highlights included Sharon Bram and Friends, Shisham and Lotus, Jack Grunsky, Incredibrent, and Safari Science, while 21 fun activities promoted fun and learning and featured many Oakville-based organizations. These included interactive building and art activities, story times, reptile and science shows, yoga sessions, a kids' play zone and obstacle course, face painting, and balloon and caricature artists. A free Oakville transit shuttle service operated from Bronte GO Station, and there was a bike corral organized by community members. The event was funded with $50,000 from the corporate contingency and $10,000 in sponsorship revenue, and total expenses for the event totaled $57,000. Moving forward, the Oakville Children's Festival for 2015 and beyond. Though the Oakville Children's Festival was intended as an interim event, attendance and feedback from the community suggests that there's a strong need and desire for similar events, and consideration should be given to its continuance. Staff recommend that future Oakville Children's Festivals follow the vision and objectives set out in 2014. And that vision and objectives was really to develop a family-friendly event to introduce children to arts and culture, but also had a number of key components. Affordability was outlined very early in the planning process, and all activities and performances were free. Again, age appropriateness was taken into consideration. All activities were suitable for the target age group. There was also high-quality interactive opportunities, and all partners that came on the site were asked to provide a high-quality interactive activity. There weren't simply booths, there were programmed activities for children. That the event was family-friendly, not just in the activities that were provided, but in all the supporting amenities and the entire site. So there were washrooms, food vendors, and transit shuttles that all took into consideration the demographic and the community needs. And the last was to showcase Coronation Park. Coronation Park is one of our jewels, and it has a lot of amenities. And we wanted to ensure that the festival took advantage of that and showcased all of the amenities that regularly occur in the park. So I just spoke quickly about the objectives. And the recommendations. It's recommended that the report on the Oakville Children's Festival from the Recreation and Culture Department dated August 11th be received, that the proposed vision, objectives, and operating model for future children's festivals be endorsed, and that funding for the 2015 Children's Festival be referred to the 2015 budget.
Thank you very much for the report. Council, do you have questions? Councillor Duddick.
Not so much a question as congratulations to everybody involved in the planning and execution of the event. Sounds a little corny, but you did hit it out of the park in terms of the attendance, the enjoyment, the fact it was free for families, and so many people I know have said they cannot wait to see next year. And that's one of the reasons I also thought it would be good to let them know that we haven't lost sight of it and that we are planning to do something. So thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Tomoff.
I'll join with what Councillor Duddick said, but also as chair of the Santa Claus Parade, I'm really pleased, and words escape me right now in terms of trying to model it after it, because we take a lot of pride in the volunteer committee that does organize the parade, and to see that used as a model for the Children's Festival going forward, I think is a real compliment to the people that work on the parade. So I just want to thank you for recognizing us in the report, and for all the work that you did with the Children's Festival.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Others? Councillor Grant.
Thank you, through Mr. Chair. I just want to compliment the out-of-the-box thinking that went into this. You go to a lot of, well, we go to a lot of festivals, and I take my kids to a lot of festivals, and the out-of-the-box thinking that was involved in this, Les Moutons, the food trucks, especially Les Moutons, that was just insane, but I loved it. It was just something so different and unique, and yet felt very Oakville in that way, that it was such a different kind of experience that it was really enjoyable. And you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with next year, because this was just really one of the best events that I've seen us do in many years. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Grant. I wonder if your praise could be translated into a motion. And now we just need a seconder. Councillor Duddick. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? And that is adopted. Councillor Elgar, item number 10.
Thank you very much, through your worship. Yeah, I would really like staff to present their presentation regarding their transit intelligent transportation system, because I think when you see what they have done and what they're proposing to do, anybody that uses transit will be very happy with what Oakville has done regarding this. So I'm looking forward to the presentation. Thank you.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Debbie Dalvidove, and I'm the Manager of Operations with Oakville Transit. And I'm here tonight to provide you an update on the progress of our ITS project. So where are we today? So in October of 2013, we contracted the services of Clever Devices to supply and install for us an intelligent transportation system. The system is will provide real-time bus information for our customers, performance management tools for staff, and will make us compliant with the AODA integrated regulations. We've been working with the IS&S department hand in hand and are now 12 months into our 18-month implementation timeline, with the customer-facing launch scheduled for the spring of 2015. So what are we getting? So the basis of the ITS system is CAD AVL, and in simple terms, that is the ability for our customers to know where all of our buses at any time are within the town. And we track this, the buses relative to schedule. This information will then get relayed back to our transit control center in transit, where the supervisor in one location will be able to see every bus that we have out there on the road. We'll be able to monitor them relative to schedule, make service adjustments to minimize delays to customers, and we'll also be able to provide connectivity with our partners at GO Transit as the trains arrive at the GO stations, as well as connectivity with the rest of our routes to better serve our customers. We'll be getting automated announcements. So there will be an onboard audio announcement announcing a next stop. And I actually have a clip of what our customers are going to hear once the system has been installed in all our vehicles. Oh, sorry. That's not how that's supposed to.
Oakville Place, Watson Avenue, Bronte GO Station, Walmart, Dogwood Crescent, Wayborn Road, Ringwood Road, Our Lady of Peace, Third Line.
So we'll also have the ability to pre-program public service announcements that can also be heard throughout our vehicles. And these announcements will automatically be adjusted for the ambient noise level on the vehicles at the time that they are said. We'll be getting onboard visual display. This is a picture of what those signs will look like. They're an LED sign. They will display the next stop, and the signs are AODA compliant also. There will be pre-boarding audio announcements. So when our buses pull up to a service stop and the driver stops and opens up the doors, there will be an announcement on the exterior of the bus advising the customers at the stop what route and where the destination of that particular bus is. And those announcements also will be automatically adjusted for ambient noise. Automatic passenger counters, or APC. These will be installed on the buses and will be able to record customers getting on and off of our vehicles at different stops in different locations. Then that data is fed into the software, which then will allow us to review route and segment ridership data, and that will then help us plan more efficiently for the delivery of services and maximize our schedule adjustments to the benefit of the customers. Now, probably the most exciting aspect from a customer perspective is the real-time web bus arrival predictions. So this is where the customer can use their computer, their tablet, or their smartphone to actually go out there onto the computer and see where their next bus is going to be and when they can expect it at their stop. So I do have a link here to the Chicago Transit Authority. They also use the Clever product. So I just want to walk you through what our customers' experience will be once we launch the system. So they'll be able to go onto their computer and click onto the bus times, and there it worked. And there'll be a screen will come up, and from this screen they can find where their next bus is going to be by two methods. One is either to actually put the stop number in this location, and then it will find the next predictions for that bus. Or if they're not sure what their stop number is, then they can come down here, they can select the route that they're going to travel. So we are going to look at the Sheridan route. We can select their direction that they want to go, southbound, and then of course we can pick the stop that they want to be at. And I thought this stop would probably look a little familiar, Lakeshore and Burton. And from that, they will be provided with the next arrival times of the next bus. It'll tell you, it'll predict when the next bus is going to be there, and then the 2 subsequent buses. Right now, the only bus at that stop is going to be there in 14 minutes. They also will be able to go to the mapping function and see where all the buses are on that particular route. The green star is the stop that we were actually asking about. And again, the same information that they would have got from the previous screen would be there, as well as they have the opportunity to link into the actual printed schedule map and use that. The map is entirely interactive, so the customers can zoom in and zoom out. And then when they identify a particular bus on the route, if they just hover over that particular bus, it'll give all that information as it pertains to that particular bus. And again, providing the customers with predictions as to when the next bus is going to be at the stop that they're looking for. Along with, oops, no, I don't want to do that. Let's do this. So along with the ability to do this on the web, there will also be a mobile application available to customers on their smartphones, both Android and Apple products, which will allow them to do exactly what I just walked through on their mobile devices at their convenience. We also will have variable message signs at our key locations in the town at Oakville Go and Bronte Go, at the Uptown Core and Sheridan College. These signs will display the departure times of the buses that are specific to that location, and also provides us with the ability to scroll a message at the bottom of the signs, which we can then relay any possible delays or diversions that might affect the customers in their travels at that particular time. Now, what will the future hold for the ITS project? So through the capital budget request, we've identified in 2015 and 2016 additional enhancements for the ITS system. In 2016, the onboard security cameras. The cameras will provide safety and security for our customers, our employees, and for our assets. And the video evidence can be used in addressing claims if required. The vehicle diagnostic interface, the AVM, this allows for the remote monitoring of all the vehicles by a technician as far as it pertains to all the mechanical aspects of the bus. So that technician would be able to identify a breakdown before it actually happens and results in a service delay to the customers. So they'd be able to contact the supervisor and we'd be able to change off that vehicle before the customer experiences a delay. For our caravan customers, scheduling software in 2015 and in 2016 interactive voice response or IVR and web interface specialized scheduling. Those 2 software packages will allow our caravan customers to have the option of calling in and booking a ride or canceling a ride, or sitting in front of their computer and walking through the series of drop-down menus to book their next ride on the caravan, without having the requirement of them to call into a caravan coordinator and have somebody do that for them. So they can do those 2 things at their leisure anytime that they're available to the computer to do that. So how will ITS increase ridership? There are 2 main drivers when it comes to ridership for transit, and one is customer convenience and the other is service reliability. For customer convenience, the ITS system will take all the guesswork out of the bus arrival times for our customers. They'll be able to make more informed decisions. They'll have all the information that they need at their fingertips, whether they're at a computer, with their smartphone. They can receive service disruptions in real time, and of course it'll reduce their wait times to improve their personal safety when they're out there waiting for a bus. So late at night, they can go out there a minute before their bus is coming at their particular stop, as opposed to standing out there in the dark by themselves. Service reliability. This allows the supervisors to see all the buses and all the routes at all times. The supervisors will be able to be more proactive in their schedule adjustments, to help improve the connectivity between the routes, our own routes, and with GO Transit, to better manage diversions and detours, and it'll also help us to measure our on-time performance with our service. And how will we be communicating the launch of our RTS to our customers? We are currently working with corporate communications to develop a marketing plan to support the spring launch of all our customer-facing features. There's a number of strategies that we're going to be using to do that, to inform the customers and educate employees. We're looking at public engagement, direct mail and advertising, web-based information, social media and media relations, and of course, driver awareness.
No one could reach it. Councillor Elgar.
I would like to thank staff for what they've done in this area. I think this is a major advancement for everyone in Oakville, and I think you talk about service reliability and customer convenience. I think this is one of the biggest steps we've made for customer convenience. I guess one question, how scalable is this? Like, if we wanted to put this on, and not for different reasons, but to know where all our vehicles are in town, for staff to know where the vehicles are, is that available? Is it simple to add on to this system?
Mr. Green.
Through you, Mayor Burton, that is actually already ongoing. Part of that radio system that we purchased a year and a half ago is actually operating with parks, with roads and works and transit. So that, and we'll be enhancing those packages as well through the budget processes, of course.
Will we be able to track the snowplows this winter online? Like, I mean, real-time online to see where they are?
2016, I believe. We had a presentation actually from Enrico today, so I'm trying to recall, I believe it's 2016. They, of course, in the center themselves, have a lot more availability than what you would see on the web as a citizen or a member of the public.
Yeah, and I guess that's where I'm going when you talk about customer convenience with what we're doing with the busing. It would be, like, I'm hoping the next step we keep, snow plowing is one of the big ones in the wintertime, is where are they? I haven't seen anybody. So this is really a good step forward, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. My list starts next with Councillor Mark Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First off, thank you so much for the app. I think, as Director Cole can attest, what was it, 2004, 2005? I started bugging about getting an app somehow so we can at least make the service more convenient. So a few years, a decade, a little late, but that's good. I'm happy it's happening. My question, though, is about caravan service. When people are booking it, currently it's about an hour to 2 hour wait, I believe, or a window that people have to wait. With the new ways that people can connect with the service, would that reduce the wait times for them so they could be a little bit more targeted?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, it will, because they would have the ability to not have to deal directly with staff, and they'll be able to do that with the software that we're looking to bring forward through the budget process.
Okay, so it'd be down to half an hour, or?
Through you, Mr. Chair, for the purposes of the software, they would be able to do it instantaneously, because it would be interactive with the scheduling software. So they would be able to go online, put in their trip information, and then that would feed into the scheduling software, and they would get a response almost immediately as far as whether their trip is confirmed.
Great, thank you very much, thank you.
Councillor Grant, thank you. Councillor DeMoff, you're next.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and I have to say it's probably one of the most exciting things that's happening in transit since I've been a councillor, so well done. I have a few questions, actually. First one, will it have full functionality when you launch it, or is it going to be a gradual rollout of the various functions that the system offers?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the plan is this fall to do the factory acceptance testing and then roll it out to a mini fleet of 17 buses to finalize the system, and then we will start the installation of the equipment, and as the buses are installed with the equipment, then they would be functional, and then the whole launch for the customer facing would be happening in the spring of 2015. So you will see some of the equipment out there as we progress through the project.
Okay, that's great. And You mentioned this is based on the system in Chicago, and when I was there a couple years ago and used transit, one of the things that I was able to do was go to the bus stop and text in my stop number, and it responded immediately with what time the bus was coming. Will we have that ability as well?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we do. We will have that. We don't, we will.
Because that's great for people who don't necessarily use the bus all the time to realize that, that they can have that. One of the things that I know Go Transit has different on-time times than we do with transit. Will we have the ability to match our schedule better with their actual train arrival times, or is that still going to be their domain in terms of their arrival times, or will we have some ability to adjust by a minute or two to match up with the trains?
So through you, Mr. Chair, absolutely. What the system will allow us to do is to see when the GO trains are coming. We already have that functionality to see when a GO train is coming into one of the stations, but the ITS system will now let the supervisor make those decisions in advance of that and then communicate it out to all the buses. So if we're holding in for a train, then we'll be able to make those connections.
That's great, because I know you can't hold the bus for too long,
No.
but if there's only a minute or two and it saves people having to wait for the next bus, that's great. Whereabouts, you mentioned something about it being put in the Bronte Go, and I'm just wondering, where is that going to be displayed at the Bronte Go? Because the bus where the buses come in is not in the main terminal. So will it be in both or just one?
So through you, Mr. Chair, the VMS sign is going in actually inside the building as you're coming out from the GO station into where the bus platform is. So as customers are coming up the stairs, the sign will be right there and they'll be able to access all the departure times for the service that's going into that bus loop.
That's great. So assuming that I'm here in spring of 2016 and my colleagues, it would be great if we could be invited to check it out when you launch it, because I think it really is exciting and it's going to make a big difference for transit use in Oakville. So thank you for all your work on this.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Demoff. Councillor Robinson?
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you very much for an excellent report. Very exciting. We, from the CSC committee, could hardly wait till tonight. We had the conflict. I think it made us wait.
Sorry about that.
You know, it's more of Oakville's leadership and senior level management that we seem to be coming forward with in Ontario and maybe even Canada continuously. We've done so many things first. And I know we can hardly wait until we start seeing some of the results. Have you got a plan yet or a time when you may be able to come back to us with and telling us just how this has been effective and how much the ridership has increased?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would imagine that at least a minimum of 6 months, once we go to a full launch to start compiling data and statistics, we would be able to at least determine at that point how we're doing, and then, you know, as often as council would like to see what those stats are, and also the system will help us with our key performance indicators, so that would also report out in
Well,
that.
thank you very much and good work.
Thank you.
Councillor Knoll?
Thank you, Worship. I imagine you're getting totally tired of hearing how wonderful this is, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I mark my words, Your Worship. I think that this is a watershed for our transit service. This is what the people of Oakville have been waiting for, and I think this is going to mark the point when we see ridership start to increase substantially year over year, because the convenience factor is just, I mean, bar none, this is just going to make it the most convenient way to move that there is. I have a couple questions. First of all, is there any consideration given to connectivity to neighboring transit services so that people that have to make connections from Oakville to Milton and they're on their massive bus system, Burlington or Mississauga, is there any thought given to that and connectivity between those systems?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So Burlington did award their ITS system earlier this year, so we are working with them to explore those opportunities, and hopefully it will improve the connectivity between us and Burlington. Milton, I'm not so sure. It's a little further north, but the possibility is there, I guess, is the short answer. With
We don't actually touch them. Milton and Oakville routes don't touch at this point, do they?
Technically, I don't
Okay.
believe they do because we don't have anything up
Okay.
that far north yet.
And okay, that's great. So, technical question, is this the AVL system based on the P25 radio system that we have now? Is it all part of the same package? No?
No.
Through Mayor Burton, no, they're not actually interconnected. Our fire department, because of the emergency response, are actually on the P25. The difficulty is the police radio system, of course, is from a data point of view, is actually connected into the RCMP police database. And unfortunately, civilian uses cannot get on to those data transmissions.
Right.
So our radio system that we installed on all of our fleet, transit, roads and works, and parks operation, actually has both cellular and data.
Okay.
And it's the data that we're using for AVL.
I guess if it was on the P25 system, it could lead to some pretty crazy bus routing changes.
That's true.
Okay. Will this enhance or improve our connectivity with the Google system, the Google Transit system, or transit mapping system?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll still be able to do the trip planner through Google, and our mapping within the ITS system is all Google-based.
Okay.
So it should continue the way it
Okay.
is.
Now, and Councillor Demoff took the best question of all the questions so far, and that is with respect to the GO transit connectivity. Almost the only complaint or concern I ever hear from my constituents is the darn bus left just as the train was pulling into the station. So can you just walk me through how this system will improve that? I mean, I think intuitively, I think I can figure it out, but I would like to hear it, because I'm sure that those who are watching will want to know how this is going to make that better, because, I mean, and that's pretty good that that's really the only complaint I hear, but I'm curious how that's all going to work.
So through you, Mr. Chair, so with the implementation of the ITS system and the ability to have one supervisor in one location monitor the entire system, they would have instant access to the arrival of the GO trains and instant access to all the buses that were at that particular location. So to communicate that all out, either via a radio call or a canned text advising the buses to hold in at that location to meet the trains, will happen instantaneously. Along with that, we also have video coverage at the GO stations to help assist with the passengers coming off the GO train, so that we are able to accommodate all that. So that can all be done by one person in one location with the implementation of the ITS system.
So in short, if the train is a couple minutes late for some reason, then in theory and in practice, the buses can be held within a reasonable period of time to accommodate those passengers coming home.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I guess the important piece to that is for a reasonable amount
Yes,
of time,
yes.
keeping in mind that there are customers on the bus that want to get other buses or other routes within there. So it is a very delicate balance
Yep.
for us to keep everyone happy. The ITS system will certainly help us towards that goal.
Well, this is truly amazing. I can't wait for my app. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Councillor Giddings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Further to Councillor Knoll, you mentioned Burlington and Mississauga, so they don't have a similar system at this point?
Through you, Mr. No, they do have a system, they just don't have the Clever product.
All right, so would, for the connectivity, would it be based on their published schedule then?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we would be able to see that through the published times that they do have. So
All right.
that's all I can tell you at this point, sorry.
Any idea competitive intelligence, Burlington, Mississauga, if they're looking at that route down the road? Are they looking at a similar system, or?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure who Burlington awarded to. I believe it was in it.
Let's turn to the director.
Thank you very much.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. We have the Clever Devices system. Mississauga has a system known as Trapeze, as Burlington also awarded to Mentor. So there's three different systems, but what's key to them all is that they're web-based. So at any point in time, we can access the information that's provided through the web by either My Way in Mississauga or Burlington, and use that information to help us with connectivity. So we'll be able to see our system, we'll be able to see their system, and if opportunities arise for connectivity, we can seize the moment.
All right, and further to Councillor Grant's question in terms of, for the caravan, with the AODA regulations revising in 2017 in terms of transit, will there be device-based, whether it be a Dynavox or any other mobility aid for caravan users that may be nonverbal or disabled to be able to access that?
There will be, I'm sorry, I'm not actually understanding your question.
Well, a number of our caravan users may be nonverbal or they may have physical difficulties, so they may be able to phone. I'm just wondering if the app is being developed for a Dynavox or another assistance aid.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Adams?
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank our staff for having done the presentation and for being able to see in full color the work that you've been working on. I was at a transit seminar in Toronto a couple of years ago where they were discussing and showing this kind of technology, and at the time I sent a note to our transit director to say, when are we going to be able to get to this? And I know how long and hard the work goes on to be able to get to this point. So thank you for undertaking all of that work on our behalf. Councillor Knoll and Councillor Giddings, both of you already asked my questions about connectivity with the other transit providers, so thank you for doing that. Well done. And Councillor Elgar, thank you for having our staff bring it forward, because I think the show and tell that our staff got to do today in front of some of the members of the public who wouldn't have seen it at the committee level, I think it was valuable, and it shows how much work we've been doing on the transit file to make our transit system accessible, easy to use, and improve the mobility of everybody.
Thank you. Councillor Lapworth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A lot of our students may not have access to laptop computers, but the question is, would the information on the next bus to arrive time be displayed actually in the bus shelter?
Through you, Mr. Chair, at the locations that were identified at the Oakville and Bronte Go, at Sheridan College, and at the Uptown Core currently, we will have that information available there so that they would be able to see the next departure times of the service going into those locations.
That's quite restricted, right? I'm thinking about all of the stops.
Sorry?
This is just the departing time from those locations, is that right?
Correct, sorry,
Okay.
yes.
But what about the arrival time at other locations around town?
At other locations, they would be able to access that on their mobile phones.
My question is if they don't have a mobile phone, you see.
If they don't have a
Can it be displayed actually in the bus shelter?
I guess technically it could be displayed if you wanted to put a display in every bus shelter. So the technology is there to do that if that was something that was financed or budgeted in that process.
Yeah. I appreciate that would be an extra cost, yeah.
Yes.
If we did that, Councillor Lapworth, you might lose your reputation as a tight-fisted, penny-pinching councillor. For a second time, Councillor Demoff.
Thank you. Some of the questions prompted me to think of something else, is staffing. You were talking about the supervisor being able to watch all of what's going on, and it seems like it's a lot for a supervisor to be keeping track of. Do we have enough staff to be monitoring this now, or will we be needing additional staff in the future to keep track of GO train arrivals and everything else? It seems like it's a fairly large staffing exercise.
I'm going to defer to the director on that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, at present we have sufficient staff to monitor the service from the control center. The difficulty is going to be in striking the balance between the duties in the control center, monitoring the performance of our service, and the duties outside or on street wherein they're required to engage in incident response, so things like emergencies and customer service issues and diversions and accidents, et cetera. So trying to arrive at that balance of workforce in the control center and workforce out of the control center. There are several models for that, and so we're examining what some of the other properties that already have this system in place are doing. Some are using supervisors for both, others use coordinators inside, the supervisors outside. So we'll look at what the best model is. At the moment, we have enough staff to kick this off. Just not certain yet whether it's sustainable over the longer term.
Okay, that's great. And then the other, when Councillor Lapworth was asking about having maps, we have the ability to add, I'm assuming. I know when I went to a transit thing in Brampton where they had, you could see what the arrival of the various buses were. And I'm assuming that as this, if should it grow at other major hubs, like Hopedale or South Oakville Centre, for example, where there's a lot of connectivity there, that you would have the ability to add that type of display at those larger transit hubs as the system grows and we get more funding for it. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, absolutely. The Clever system is modular in design and allows for the additional proponents to be added on. So as many variable message signs as we would like to put throughout the town, you would be able to do that with the system that we're working on. Welcome.
Thank you, Councillor DeMott. Councillor Grant for a second time.
I apologize, this will be the last one from me, but I've been asked, with all the talk that we're having tonight about new things, the question that's come forward is, we have these wonderful new bike stations, we have the new parking garage at the GO station, but it seems that people who are waiting for the bus are still sitting and baking in the sun sometimes, or sitting in the middle of snowbanks. And the question, of course, then is, are we going to be doing something for the people who actually are waiting at the stops there for buses, for pedestrians?
So through you, Mr. Chair, we do have a capital account where we put requests through for the shelter infrastructure, and that's an ongoing project from year to year to increase the number of shelters that we have throughout the town. So that is currently as one of the capital requests.
Is there a year that we might be looking to that for, or given that you're going to be putting up the reader signs anyways, I'm assuming you're going to be revamping the whole area as it is?
I think what the councillor might need is how many shelters we're adding each year.
I'll defer to the director on that one.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. At present, we add 5 new shelters every year, and that's the reason we are at 5 shelters a year is because to exceed that requires us to go back and renegotiate the shelter maintenance contract. So as with adding, VMS to every bus shelter, as for, how can we enhance the system in the future, it's all a matter of the funds available. So it's always incremental. So we continue to improve infrastructure at our bus stop locations every year. The extent to which we do that is strictly a matter of funding.
Thank you. I'll let the commenter know if they hadn't heard that. Thank you.
Translation is you can have as many as you want. Just have to face the voters. All right. Thank you for all those questions, Council. Can I assume, Councillor Elgar, that you're moving this? Absolutely. Can I look for a second? Councillor Dudek. Council, it was your decision to move forward with ITS. And that decision showed that you're still a big believer in transit and a big believer in fighting gridlock on all 3 fronts: transit, roads, and active transportation. Your active transportation, bike paths and lanes, for example, and the associated infrastructure. And bit by bit, as we roll that out over the entire town so that everybody shares in it as we go, I'm sure we'll get to the perfect future that we all aim for, where everyone can choose the best means to achieve their personal mobility. With that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, and that is carried. All right, Council, it's now, we move to the discussion item on tonight's agenda. Tonight's agenda only has one discussion item. We will have some requests for reports later in the meeting, but for now, the marquee event, which is the Mayor's Annual Oakville Status Report, is up. And I'd like to welcome Superintendent Carol Crow from the Halton Regional Police. When I was first elected mayor, the Halton Regional Police Chief of the day told me that I should think of the superintendent in charge of Oakville as the Oakville Police Chief. And so I do, and our new police chief has had no problem with that. So welcome, Ms. Crow. We also are joined by Hydro Chair Marie Oswald. Thank you very much for being here also. And by School Trustee Don Bruman. And Don, thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, every year at this time, it's been my pleasure to give you my report and share my views on the state of the town. My focus this time is our decision making. You can see our past, our present, and our future in our decision making. You yourselves and all the rest of our friends and neighbors will be making decisions later this year, next month in fact, when you vote for the regional chair, the mayor, councilors, and trustees. So the theme this year is decision making. All of our decisions together add up to what kind of town we are creating. Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield said it this way in his book: every decision you make, from what you eat to what you do with your time today, turns you into who you are tomorrow and the day after that. Mr. Hadfield was writing about achieving his dream of going into outer space. But the same words apply for those of us just trying to make our part of the planet Earth a better place to live, work, play, raise a family, and retire. We have a vision of being the most livable town in Canada. To judge the state of the town at this point in our history, let's look at my choices for the top 10 groups of decisions that we've made. You'll see what they've done for you, and you'll see what they will do for you. My list is from my perspective as your mayor. These are the groups of decisions with the most impact on you and our future. Let's start with the environment. First, a more livable Oakville needs clean air. We decided to enact Canada's only legislation restricting particulate matter smaller than 2.5 microns. PM 2.5 is the deadliest form of air pollution. We are the only government in Canada to restrict PM 2.5. And since 2010, our air has had a 37% reduction in PM 2.5. We also decided to ban smoking within 9 meters of all town areas where we know kids play to protect children from secondhand smoke, which is a proven carcinogen. Second, a more livable Oakville needs generous green space. We decided to save and protect green space. We created our own 2,300-acre local green belt across North Oakville. Some said it couldn't be done. We developed new parks and redeveloped old ones. We're restoring and protecting Bronte Bluffs. We're upgrading Oakville Harbor's shoreline. We made decisions that saved 80% of the Merton lands. With the new, greener provincial policy statement on land use planning, we expect to save the rest. Third, a more livable Oakville needs to keep its trees. We need to add more, too. There are only 2 ways to deal with the emerald ash borer: cut or cure. With our target of growing our tree canopy to 40% in mind, we decided to fight this pest by treating our public trees. We recommend to homeowners to treat to save theirs too. Our tree protection and strict tree planting rules for developers will help us reach our goal, and so will our decision to plant more trees everywhere we can. Those tree planting rules should make lollipop trees a thing of the past. Fourth, a more livable Oakville needs facilities for its residents to stay healthy and active. We decided to create an additional 800,000 square feet, a 70% increase of new community facilities. We needed it to catch up with the growth we had experienced as a town. You responded with appreciation and increased levels of participation and enjoyment. And we've made decisions that will create more public facilities for you. We'll create a new community center in North Park. We'll renew and expand Oakville Arena as part of a new community and senior center on Kerr Street. We'll establish a new community center where the old high school is in southeast Oakville on the old, well, still active hospital site. And we will renew the streetscape of the downtown when we rebuild the roadbed. We will add more parking to the downtown. In 2017, we will be ready to renew the Central Library and Performing Arts Center at Centennial Square and create a new home for the gallery for Canada's 150th birthday celebrations. We will enjoy a state-of-the-art new hospital. We decided to make it happen by funding the hospital donation using non-tax funds from green and other energy projects. We believe the property tax is not the appropriate source to fund hospitals. Fifth, a more livable Oakville needs to be fiscally responsible to be able to afford what we need. So we on council made decisions to run the town with business-like tools. We work each term from unanimous 4-year strategic work plans, our version of a business plan. We moved to performance-based budgeting, and we're still the only government in Canada that operates on a results-based basis. We shifted all the costs of growth we could off of you, the property taxpayer. To get developers' hands out of your pockets, we raised our development charges to the maximum allowed by law. We were 15th highest, and now we lead. The result of our decisions has been to reduce tax increases. For 4 years before my time as mayor, the property tax levy increase averaged 7% a year. In my first term, we cut that to 5%. This term, we've cut it to less than 3% a year. The idea that total tax levy conveys includes our growth in assessment, in new assessment from new homes and new properties. Our record with the total tax increase, which is what you experience because that leaves growth out of the equation, is even better. This year, it was just 0.7%, less than 1%, well less than inflation, the lowest in 15 years. In fact, the total tax increase for this 4-year term of council was 20% below inflation. In the 4 years before you elected me, the total tax increase was 60% higher than inflation. And each year, for the last 6 years, we have cut the actual property tax rate. If you like your tax increases going down, here on this council are the people you can thank. Our fiscal status has never been better. Standard & Poor's has renewed our AAA credit rating. We're rated better now than Markham, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, King, Aurora, Newmarket, the City of Toronto, and the Province of Ontario. Oakville is also one of the few places with a fully funded asset management plan. Your neighboring cities face massive infrastructure renewal deficits. You don't. Oakville is on a steady path of declining tax-paid debt. Tax-paid debt was $24 million 8 years ago. It's $10 million now, and it's headed down. Sixth, a more livable Oakville needs our classic village-style business districts to be strong and successful. Ours have weathered economic and natural storms. Ours are facing competition from places that have beautified their downtowns. We decided to help meet the challenge. We have business development strategies to assist all 3 of our small town business areas to reach their potential and to be as successful and resilient as possible. Seventh, a more livable Oakville requires a future supply of employment land. Our town had a very bad record before this council of letting developers convert employment land into houses. Over the last 2 terms of this council, our decisions have preserved job lands through our official plan and our zoning. We decided that your need for a financially sustainable town outweighed the desire of developers for fast and easy profits. All of this makes for an even more livable Oakville, and that attracts business. And the businesses that we attract and the ones we keep are how we are meeting our goal of creating 1,000 jobs a year for Oakville. Oakville is a great place for business because it is such a great place to raise a family. Eighth, a more livable Oakville needs a strong and successful auto sector. When the Ford Motor Company decided to invest the better part of $1 billion in its Oakville assembly plant, rather than close it, we did more than celebrate. We took the initiative. We formed the Auto Mayors Coalition. We're working with automakers, Unifor, academics, and government We're driving to create an industrial policy for Canada with an auto manufacturing policy at its core. We need to keep good-paying manufacturing jobs in Oakville, in Ontario, and in Canada. Ninth, a more livable Oakville needs plans, and I've always been reluctant to call them blueprints. Let's call them green prints. For our town, livable Oakville is our vision and our land use plan. For our region, sustainable Halton is our vision and our land use plan. Now, these plans control growth. They protect our neighborhoods from unwanted densification. They protect our green space. They protect us from having to finance and subsidize developers' infrastructure. Our town plan and vision are required by law to conform to the region's plan and vision. For that reason alone, the region is worth paying attention to, and we do. One result is we have been able to make developers pay for an almost 500% increase in our roads budget to fight gridlock. The leadership of Regional Chair Gary Carr has been essential to our victories in that forum. And 10th, a more livable Oakville needs the best possible professional civil service. So we made decisions to invest in recruiting and developing and retaining the best and the brightest. Our clear vision for Oakville has attracted talented and committed staff. You have seen how we've been able to trust staff to translate into reality our vision of a more livable Oakville. We know that our people are the most important part of our success as a town. Those are the 10 most directional sets of our decisions from a mayor's perspective. You may have others. Our vision and our plans are living documents. Part of the current state of the town is that we are now engaged in municipal elections. At every municipal election, you, the voter, judge our decisions. Your decisions can change anything or everything. You can have large or small impacts. A different council can sell off assets we depend upon to carry the town's up to $130 million donation to the hospital next year. A different council can reverse our increase to fire protection that sped up firefighters' response times to rescue people and save property. A different council could cancel our new children's festival that's a big hit with families who enjoy the waterfront fun. A different council could reverse our unanimous protection of heritage districts. A different council could reverse our expansion of transit into a grid system that has increased personal mobility for everyone. A different council could turn away from our prudent fiscal management that has kept tax increases at 20% less than inflation. We were on a very different path before 8 years ago. A different council can reverse our support of the police and our resulting 6 years of being Canada's safest place to live. There are 7 members of this council who serve on the regional council that funds and oversees our police. Councillors Tom Adams, Keith Bird, Kathy Duddick, Alan Elger, Alan Johnston, and Jeff Knoll. Oakville has had a central role in the police, with me as the chair of the police board and Councillor Knoll as a board member. All of this council, including town councillors Pam DeMoff, Dave Giddings, Mark Grant, Max Kahn, Roger Lapworth, and Ralph Robinson, supported our move to shift development costs off of the property tax and onto development charges where they belong. A different council can change the development charges bylaw to shift the cost of infrastructure back onto property taxpayers. A different council, in short, can take us off the path we decided to follow for the last 8 years. So now it's your turn to make decisions. For 4 years, you've trusted this council to make the good decisions that have kept us on the path towards a more livable Oakville and a more sustainable Halton. We will see next month if you feel that we have delivered. My verdict is that the town is in a better place now than 4 or 8 years ago. That's my judgment. We on council await your judgment of our work, and your judgment counts more. But I hope we can all agree that the town is in a better place now than it was in 1976, when Councillor Keith Bird began his career of service to you as a member of our elected councils. Councillor Bird takes great pride in the progress in his terms on the police board and the Conservation Authority, as well as the downtown BIA. There are many other contributions by Councillor Byrd, too numerous to mention here, and I urge you to watch for your invitation to his retirement dinner later this year to really celebrate his career with me. As a council, we worked together with creativity and a growing mutual respect to always find agreement and consensus on your behalf. To each member of council, let me say, it has been great working with you. And to you, the residents we serve, on behalf of everyone on council, let me say thank you for your trust. Thank you. Thank you. That's very kind. I have moved my sheet. It's right here. Council, we have a recommendation that the mayor's annual Oakville status report be received. We have it in two places. Councillor Knoll moves. Councillor Duddick seconds. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, and that carries. You have your information items, which have been circulated electronically, and your status of outstanding issues. Is there any new business of a notice of motion, emergency, or congratulatory or condolence nature? Are there any regional reports or questions regarding town boards and advisory committees? Are there any, I should ask, for the sake of formality, are there any requests for reports? We have requests for reports. So I think we have 5, but I may have missed one. Councillor Grant, would you like to speak to your requests for reports?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I apologize to everybody for the amount. It's been a very busy summer, and we have the greatest town staff in the world, but there are 4 things from this summer that I think the people involved deserve their chance to speak in public before committees. So we will start, there are 4. We will start with naming of a portion of Munns Creek Trail for Ian Dutton, and that is moved by me and seconded by Councillor Giddings. And that is staff are requested to report back to council on the feasibility of naming a section of Munns Creek Trail close to Margot Park, or suggesting an alternate form of recognition for Ian Dutton, who is an Oakville resident, softball coach, and respected community volunteer, who is a fixture of the trail system for most of his life. Should I just go through them all and we'll vote together on them all, or?
Oh, let's follow format and do one by one.
Okay.
Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? That request is approved.
Thank you. Number 2, alternate options for traffic calming on Munns. This is seconded by Councillor Knoll. That staff be requested to report back to council on options for traffic calming on Munns Avenue, fronting River Oaks Public School, which is River Oaks west to Margot Street, to maintain student safety, curb speeding, and lessen noise pollution, with options including but not limited to a reduction in the number of speed cushions. And I think there might have been a question from one of the councillors on this.
Questions? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that request is granted.
Thank you.
You're going to go for more?
Yeah, we're going to go for more. Let's just do the whole bunch here. Temporary parking relief for the new communities of north of Dundas. This is seconded as well by Councillor Knoll. That staff be requested to report back to council on the feasibility of allowing temporary parking measures, including but not limited to street and laneway parking in the new Woodhaven communities, and that's east of Neagawa from Dundas to North Park Boulevard, until such a time as regional road and internal community construction is completed.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Granted.
Well, this is going quick.
Council has granted your
request. Granted, I like that, granted. And then finally, a consideration for on-street parking for River Oaks West, and that is that, again, seconded by Councillor Knoll, that staff be requested to report back to council on the feasibility of and possible locations for on-street parking on River Oaks Boulevard West. Easy peasy.
We have questions.
Yes.
Councillor Demoff and then Councillor Duddick.
No.
Oh, Councillor Demoff.
I'm not familiar with that section of River Oaks Boulevard West, but is that part of where the bike lanes are in that area? And is it part of the master plan to have bike lanes on that section? I'm just wondering if it would require the removal of the bike lanes in order to allow on-street parking.
There are some bike lanes, but the problem that they're facing right now is some speeding, and also that there's a glut of parking on the side streets. And so basically following our traffic calming policy that believes on-street parking is the best way of handling it, we're looking at getting some parking there, and I don't believe that it would, well, part of the request is to see where it can go and if it would impact anything such as the cycling.
What was the section that we looked at before? Was it not River Oaks?
It was east, and
Okay.
as above, so below. People from the West Boulevard want to know if they could get what the east people have.
So to get rid of the bike lanes there, is like we did on the east, is what we're asking for.
Nobody's suggesting to get rid of bike lanes yet.
Well, but that's what ended up happening before. And just to clarify, I've never heard staff say that putting parking on the street is the best way of reducing speeding. So anyway, I don't think I can support that because it's moving on a road to get rid of the bike lanes the way we did on the other River Oaks. So that's just my opinion on that one.
Thank you, Councillor DeMoff. Others? All those in favor of the request? And opposed? The request is granted. That brings us, I believe, to Councillor Giddings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Byrd, that staff be requested to report back at the October 6th meeting of council on the issue of the existing driveway encroachment at 230 Trafalgar Road, to answer any councillor questions or concerns about specifying the October 6th date. I've been speaking with the Director of Engineering and Construction, and Dan Cozy has no concern with the timeline indicated, as they have the report ready.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Your request is granted. Are there any others? Thank you. Then all we need is a mover and seconder of the bylaws. Councillor Lapworth and Councillor Elgar, thank you. This is authority for the bylaws 2014-86 and 2014-100 and 2014-110, 111 and 112 and 118 is listed in the agenda, and 2014-077, which is to be read into the public record, and I'll do that now. A bylaw previously listed in the Administrative Services Confidential Agenda to permit the charging of a convenience fee, service charge, or surcharge in connection with payment card processing services on behalf of the town of Oakville for property taxes and parking tickets, and on behalf of Oakville Hydro for utilities. This was Administrative Services Committee, item 11. All those in favor? Opposed? The bylaws are adopted. Thank you very much for your time and attention. It has been great working with you, and we are adjourned.